Matthew 2:1 is about the birth of Jesus, and I've noticed some things, realized some things while reading this, and you can see at the top there, it says some wise men. It doesn't say three. There were three types of gifts that were given to Jesus, but it never says that there was three wise men. It says some. And people think that these men were astrologers from Babylon, that they noticed a star that was over in the east, and they followed it. So Matthew 2:2, actually the end of 1, says that the wise men came from the east to Jerusalem. But I was wondering, why were they in Jerusalem? Because, apparently everyone knew that the King Jesus was born in Bethlehem. So it says in verse 4 there that Herod called a meeting of all the leading priests and teachers of the law and asked them where Christ would be born. They answered, in the town of Bethlehem. So the Pharisees knew where he was going to be born. Why didn't the wise men or the magi? I couldn't find the answer to this, but one theory was that not everybody had access to all the books back then. So maybe they only had Numbers or, some of the books. But Numbers 24:17 says a star will come from Jacob, a ruler will rise from Israel. So maybe that's all they had to go on, that they were following the star to wherever it led them. This map here kind of explains why they may have ended up in Jerusalem and not Bethlehem, since the star was sitting over Bethlehem. And this is the common route people took from the east to Jerusalem. And if they were following a star, you can see Bethlehem is directly behind Jerusalem, about 5 miles. So this would explain why the Magi were in Jerusalem asking where Jesus was, because it would have looked like the star would have been over Jerusalem. Actually, it was right behind Jerusalem in Bethlehem. Matthew 2:7 says, Then Herod had a secret meeting with the wise men and learned from them the exact time they first saw the star. He sent the wise men to Bethlehem, saying, Look carefully for the child. When you find him, come tell me so I can worship him too, which was a lie. But it also was a divine appointment, because Herod actually told the wise men exactly where Jesus would be born, which was 5 miles behind Jerusalem, where they're at in this moment. So as the Magi left Jerusalem to go to Bethlehem, the star was there, because the star was always over Bethlehem. It may have just looked like it was over Jerusalem because, once again, Bethlehem was directly behind Jerusalem and only 5 miles. So it probably looked like, it was in Jerusalem. But here's another thing I didn't realize about the nativity scene with the wise men standing, with Jesus in the manger. This whole event took about 2 years. This is why Herod asked the Magi when they first saw the star, and why he had all the children, all the babies killed that were 2 and under, because he knew Jesus must have been somewhere in this time frame. So Matthew 2:11 says they came to the house where the child was, not the baby in the manger. They saw him with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Because Jesus may have been born in the manger, but by the time the wise men got there, he was a child. And it's just, it's pretty irrelevant, but I never really thought about all this, and I thought it was interesting. And so these are just a few things I learned while reading this little scripture here.